Miraculous is a terrible show and I love it, but we're not here to talk about that. I ain't dedicating a whole 5-hour video for that, but thankfully I have something that's more bite-sized for the likes of me. A whole dang movie! Made after producing the 4th and 5th seasons of the show, its director is not Thomas Astrup, the man who created the show and directs most of its episodes, but actually Zag, the guy the production studio is named after, which was as surprising as finding out that the Warner Brothers were actually real people, and that there were 4 of them! Animaniacs lied to me! A lot of people say that this movie is good, that it does the premise of the show justice compared to the actual show, but we're not here for them, we're here for me! What do I think? Well, I mean, yeah, but I'd rather just watch the show? Let me explain. The movie begins with Black, old man jump scare, and the general premise. Magic creatures named Kwame that turn into jewelry that in turn make superheroes with powers. The most important for this story being Hawkmoth, which makes people into super bad guys whenever they feel bad, and the Ladybug and Cat Miraculous. And the scene shifts to Paris. And wowzers, this movie is pretty! Man, I wish Paris was real. They make the city feel so alive with the improved lighting and the general amount of detail. I think the most important aspect that I gotta buff here are the background characters, both in the amount of variation of them, as well as the actual amount. Some of these designs are so good I'm surprised that they're not in the show already. Way better than Vivo, but not as good as Vivo either, so credit to the team for that. Also, the characters from the show in general got placed in the update machine and got them shiny new graphics. Like with Chloe, I mean come on, this is very nice. Also, this movie is a musical. Now, I'm forever scarred of the idea of watching a superhero musical ever since watching Spider-Man, the musical. And at first, I was. But you have to remember that actually wasn't me, that was Bizarro me, because I actually like the music here. Now, I didn't say that they were perfect, God no. But to talk about that, let's bring back a little section from a certain Loud House review and do a song ranking, or what I like to call a lyric lineup. Reaching Out is very bleh, honestly. This song is way below the standard, even compared to the other songs on the list. Also, the main theme in here just doesn't make sense. It makes sense if Marionette has self-doubt after rejection, but this is more just running away from problems? No? Where was she running? You rejected Cat Noir and in turn got rejected by Adrian. There's no running involved. It's just I know I am not interested in you. Being you would not change that? You were right there, Miraculous theme. Come on. This song could have been one of the best. Movies using or remixing the original theme are my jam. But here, I think they tried to make it more grand and epic, which botches it. All I had to do was add more guitars, bump that speed up to a 1.25, and it would have been golden. But hey, at least we got the all-new 2023 Ladybug Volkswagen. If I believed in me, oh wow, yeah, relatable much, huh? And this works fine for what it is. It just doesn't really speak to me all that much because I don't really find Marionette's arc all that engaging. Plus the other songs are just better. Oh, tough luck, my guy. Courage in Me is so weird since I flip-flop between this and the next song in determining what's better. Because while it's the better musically, especially with the ending that just that goes so hard, man, a lot of the visuals are just turned off. It doesn't seem all that very interesting in a way. I don't care if the motif is black and white. I could turn off my TV and say that's part of the experience, but you're choosing not to use the visual medium at its fullest. You Are a Ladybug is pretty good. Sometimes it sounds like the performance could have been done with a retake here and there, but man, the tempo is always on point. Especially that ending, it sounds like my uncle's good hand because it's so hard. So why is this as low as it is? The rap. Yeah, that's literally the only thing holding it back. It lasts way too long and it is just straight up bad. So yep. Chaos Will Reign Today is so weird to me. You see, when I first listened to this, I actually thought it was bad. And in a way, it still is. But I can say that this has personality. The other songs, for the most part, are safe visually. They work. But here, Hawkmoth goes into a complete sicko mode, and man, it works really well as a villain song. Why didn't this guy get a rap? That would have legitimately launched this to the top 2 if there was a rap. I'm not kidding, I would do it. My Lady is... yeah, it's a song where Cat Noir simps for Ladybug, but god damn it, it's the best song where Cat Noir simps for Ladybug. The song visually is interesting, the colors are pleasing, this is a song where a kid is having a major crush, I can feel that. It doesn't feel all that ambitious, which is strange when shows like Steven Universe actively push that envelope even with working with a smaller budget. Some shots straight up just don't connect when it feels like climbing the top of a landmark is the peak of the song and overall idea. I mean, I don't know, something seems off about it. Stronger Together is a legit cute ballad between the two, and while it suffers from the same problems as I mentioned before, I don't mind because I feel like this song does the most visually with its moving shots, the characters moving and spinning, and overall feeling. Plus, it is depressing when Cat Noir gets depressed after this, so yeah. And that's it, that's the list. And now, did you notice a detail when I was ranking the songs? Yeah, the Marinette-centric songs tend to be less good than the Cat Noir-based ones. Her arc is fine, but it's the typical teenager coming-of-age story where the main character learns a lesson, in this case being more confident and brave overall. There's nothing here that I could say is flawed or bad, until the climax, but that's for later. It's competent, but I could just be watching other superhero movies that do this idea, but better, like Spider-Man, or Spider-Man, or Spider-Man. But what about Adrian's arc? He shouldn't have one being the one with more conflicts over his controlling dad and such, right? Well, this is technically a Ladybug and Cat Noir movie, but it's more of a Ladybug than a Cat Noir movie. We don't even get to see Adrian meet Blake for the first time. He almost gets sidelined here for a good chunk of the movie, which sucks. I liked him in the show. It's strange because I think the biggest flaw in this movie is how they changed certain aspects from the show. It's weird because there's some changes I really like. I like how we see Hawkmoth is born, Ladybug and Cat Noir need a minute to bond before they're a full-fledged team. Chloe wasn't born from the 7th floor of hell. Cat Noir falling for Ladybug is funny as hell. I like these changes, but some changes feel like the movie, and all it takes to fix the mistakes of the show. Also didn't consider the actual game plan of said show and the potential of it. Like, for example, Hawkmoth using villains instead of citizens, despite the main appeal of the Akumas being that it uses ordinary angers as fuel. Like, hey, you didn't share that calzone with me! Instead, it's just more like, I didn't get to rob the bank! Ugh, why don't these people let me rob the bank? Never explaining the wish is more of a monkey paw scenario, nor showing Gabriel being all that evil, making it so that there seems to be no real risk of getting said wish, besides that, yeah, I guess physical assault, yeah. It's more likely that he just give back the Miraculous after said wish and say, thank you, yeah, thank you, here you go, I don't need it anymore. And the climax, man, it's the biggest fumble I've ever seen in my life. The pacing in the first hour is fine, we get a minute to breathe and bond and see these characters grow to like each other. I personally think it's a bit too much. The movie tries to go more of a romantic path between these two, and on paper, that's not bad, but we only have 40 minutes left where the two just learn to be friends, so it feels like we have to build this romance much faster instead of giving it a chance to grow. And it sucks because some of these scenes are cute! I just wish we could have saved them for maybe a sequel. That way we can build up the romance with a better structure. But here we go from, I don't know you, to I like you, to I really like you. And geez, this takes a big hit in the climax. It makes sense for Hawkmoth to be angry at the two for foiling his plans, but it's the fact that the two are separated because I'm not interested in you. It makes the climax weak in my opinion. It wouldn't be so bad if, say, the two resolve their differences and be stronger together. You know, what the movie has stated multiple times, but we don't get to see that. Marinette learns her lesson of being brave, jumping to save Cat Noir, but then Hawkmoth is beaten by this Disney malarkey of realizing he almost killed his son, and realizing, who am I fighting for? I don't like it. And then to add salt to the wound, they revealed each other's identities. Oh man, it it leaves a sour taste in my mouth because it's like they're trying to say sorry to the fans for the constant bait and switch and all that, but I don't know, it just dissolves any potential for the future. It ties things a little too well, and it puts everything in too neat of a bow. Like, think about it, Cat Noir would still be pouty after Marionette's rejection of him.
Your boyfriend too busy to lend a hand?
Just for the fact that they're not together. I don't know, it just seems like we're rewarding this bad behavior in a sense, when it should be, hey, no dummy, she's her own independent person and you should respect her wishes of not dating you. But you have to realize the fact that maybe you shouldn't let that impede your life and look at others for love. And sheesh, don't get me started on the post-credits scene. They try to have Natalie as the mid-credits sequel tease, like Gabriel isn't just gonna call her and say, oh, hey Natalie, no, we're not doing this anymore. I'm over my dead lover. You could just not do that. But what if Natalie said, have you ever considered that I love her? Boom! Lesbian lovers. And then Ladybug and Cat Noir need to bring Hawkmoth in for an alliance, but ooh, what if it was this big brain villain idea the entire time? Yeah, I know, that kinda sounds silly, but so was the show. You know, the one thing about the show that I can never say about the movie is this. It had my utmost attention. It was never boring. This show, despite all its faults, was able to introduce the most horrendous execution of genuinely interesting ideas, and on a blue moon actually pull off these moments well. I am forever glued to this TV with every passing moment of this show, because how many shows out there are like this? Chloe being the spawn of Satan, the love square that reverses its flow at a certain point, Cat Blanc, Astruck inserts, I remember all of this. This movie needed to be as out there as the show was, because for moments, it catches that cheesiness. But only for moments, when the show did so for an entire specials and arcs and episodes and seasons. Like, I needed a superhero musical set in Paris to be way out there, to be strange and funny in its own charming way. What if you save all the romance stuff and saved it for a sequel, and then you basically adapt Cat Blanc, considering it's the most like the Miraculous Ladybug episode out there? I don't know, I just needed more cringy cheese. I remember the more bad stuff, because it took chances. But here, I don't know, it's better but bland.